Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. The capacity for this conjunction leads to a new image consciousness that sees through events, both in a circulation going on between them, in which a constant recreation of both the human being and the world take place. This circulating force or power I shall call soul. Okay, so now this is what I was trying to communicate when I was saying that awareness is contagious. Because when I have, okay, like it is right now, this is what he is saying. Because when you are aware and you have the ability to perceive things in their real true sense, this conjunction creates and recreate my consciousness every single time when it encounters with another awareness. This awareness could be from the world in general or from any other human being or any being.
Yeah, interesting. Also, to take it in a different way, one could say, at least this thought, an idea comes up to me of conjunction. And he's saying when he talks about soul, right? By soul, I shall always imply the soul of the world as a way of referring to the inseparable conjunction of individual and world. And further, this is always a conjunction in depth. Now, that may be a statement of belief, but let's look at it from a purely psychological point of view. That we don't have to believe him, and this is a personal belief, your soul in the world is mixed up, and no, we don't have to. Purely from a pure psychological point of view, your deepest conception of the world and perception of the world is intimately related to the world, because your moods, your attitudes, your beliefs, your mindset, etc., they literally change your belief and your perception of what the world is. If you wake up happy, right, the world is a wonderful place. If you put on a lie detector and say, what do you think about the world? Oh, the world's fantastic. You wake up in a really grumpy, miserable, horrible mood. You say, oh, the world's a terrible place. People are bad, blah, 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 right? So the world has changed in between those two moods. See, that in that way, you're inseparably related, because your way of being, how you are in that particular moment, it actually changes what you perceive the world to be. Subjective, as you were saying, right? And the subjective tendency. So when we're in a bad mood, the world's a terrible place. Is this logical? No. The world's the same, whether you're in a bad mood or a good mood. Yes? But because we are so intimately linked to it, in other words, our moods, our perceptions, our beliefs literally change our reality, not in actuality, but in perception. And yet the effect on us, though, is real, because I go out into the world with my grumpy mood, seeing people as bad. Of course, I cue this, they respond back, and I get bad behavior from people proving my hypothesis, right? Which really, it was nonsense to start with, but I made it true. So see how it actually becomes real, this interconnectivity.
Okay,
right? Now, he may mean it in a more, sorry, I was just going to say, he may mean it in a more spiritual way, but it doesn't matter. We can take it purely psychological. Yeah, say again.
Okay, but by cueing, this is something, okay, in this context, where what we are reading right now, I feel that instead of cueing, if we use word that, okay, yes, okay, just my term that, okay, of awareness is contagious, because you are not deliberately by any means cueing other people. No, cueing is deliberate. So you are not doing this, but awareness
Cueing
itself.
is not necessarily deliberate. No, seldom deliberate, actually.
I guess cueing is deliberate. Yes.
No. We cue indeliberately. We cue inadvertently. We cue whether we want to or not. No. Queuing happens of its own accord. We can cue deliberately. We want to learn to cue deliberately. Yes, because queuing is a responsibility.
Yes.
So it's not that it does happen deliberately. We want it.
Okay. Okay, but this thing that what he is saying right there, it is more of that when you have this awareness with the real perception, you create, okay, or not create, it happens. It happens, that ability actually develop because of that conjunction. And then that conjunction emits, okay, to see through consciousness. He says that it recreates. because it is going on back and forth. And how it is happening? Let me think about
Well,
this.
that's what I was
Okay.
saying. We need to read some more here, little buddy. So let's put that on hold
Yeah.
and let's keep going.
But I'm so surprised by that, because this idea I was not able to actually elucidate or articulate it. Okay, articulate it well, but this self-awareness or awareness is contagious is a big deal, and this is
Oh
what
yeah. Oh yeah.
I
Oh
feel
yeah.
right now. What he's
Oh yeah.
saying, that he
Oh
is
yeah.
actually articulating it.
Yeah. In a
I'm so
roundabout way. I don't think he intends to, but it's not that he's communicating it. It is um, a spin-off or a leading point. It leads to that if we think it through a little bit. Yes. They're different, Beena. You getting there. I don't think he
yeah,
necessarily needs you to.
but I okay. What I'm saying that, okay, what he is saying that, because for me this is the, okay, more detailed articulation of what I was saying, that in one word, one liner, that awareness is contagious. This
Yeah.
is this is
Yeah.
one of the articulation of
Yeah.
that, what I was saying. What I was
Yeah.
saying.
Beena, will you go
I
to your
love
note?
you, Veena. Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
I love you too, Beena. Yes, you're most marvelous. I agree. I agree.
Mhm.
Benabulous. Will you
Yes.
just go to your intent page real quick? I want to make an addendum there. It's not an intent, but it's a realization for me, right?
Okay.
So,
Do we need to record this?
yeah, I want you to add to the note.
Okay.
I'm just saving it once you're there, but underneath
Yes.
soul's intents, right? Maybe,
Yes.
the next line there, put realization, colon.
Okay.
Uh, I could provide value as an elucidator.
Yes.
And look at what we're doing just with the soul of the world, right? Uh, is that what the book is called? I keep forgetting the name of the book.
Soul of the world.
Soul of the World, elucidator, capital E, as an elucidator. Yeah, yeah. Okay, very simple, very simple, right?
I could or I can.
Yeah, period. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's how I could be of value to them, because just look at this, how we went through this, right? I mean,
Yes.
for people doing the pre-reading who are really serious and to get it, or maybe even reading Jung, because I have a real skill for this capital R reading, yes,
Oh, yes.
which is elucidating. The actual skill is elucidating, yes,
Yes, you have that.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Right. I'm just
Absolutely.
saying. So, and I feel that there's just I don't need to give my opinions or perspectives. I might give them
No.
as a bonus,
No.
but it's simply to standing, right? Pure elucidation, a pure elucidation. I have that skill to make things
Yes.
clearer, make them
Absolutely.
more.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
And
No doubt about it.
not everybody's a good communicator. And if I remember Jung's writings and Steiner, they are kind of thick and dense and knotted and interconnected and intertwined. So they're like, forest, very dense, overgrown forest, hard to navigate. Yeah. All right. All right. So let's continue. We just answered the question because I set this as an intent. See, so this is a fulfillment of one of the intents. How could I fit in here? This is how,
Yes.
as an illustrator.
Yes.
All right, keep going, keep going. Yeah.
Okay, this circulating force or power I shall call soul. And to make clear that what I'm calling soul has little to do with individual life alone. By soul, I shall always imply the soul of the world as a way of referring to the inseparable conjunction of individual and world. And further, this is always a conjunction in depth.
Yeah.
The impulse leading to the desire to bring about a correction of a one sidedness of the work of psychology. Okay, the impulse leading to the desire to bring about a correction of one-sidedness of the work of psychology issues from the observation that the place where therapy needs to be practiced has shifted from the isolated chamber of the psychotherapist's office to the world, okay, to the world. Medicine, education, money,
No, you
food.
have to read that sentence again because you ended it, but you thought it was carrying
Okay,
on and
okay,
you didn't read it.
okay. The impulse leading to the desire to bring about a correction of one-sidedness of the work of psychology issues from the observation that the place where therapy needs to be practiced has shifted from the isolated chambers of the psychotherapist's office to the world.
To the
Medicine,
world. Yeah.
education, yeah, medicine, education, money, food, energy, media, technology, religion, buildings, economics, all of those organizing forms that together out to make culture no longer do so, but instead are making a pathological civilization.
I'll be claimed.
Pathological
All right.
civilization. The
All
new
right.
symptoms are fragmentation, specialization, expertise, depression, inflation, cruelty, hardness, violence, and absence of beauty. Our
Okay, I
buildings,
got news for you. I got news for you, dude. Sorry,
yeah,
Robert, but you go and study your history. None of that is new. Not one single thing. This has been going on since day dot. So you can look at all your thinkers and commentators on society across the ages. They all say exactly the same thing. So not new. No, they all say it's new, but it's never new.
our
Anyway,
buildings are anorectic, our business paranoid, detached, and abstract, our technology manic. These symptoms
wow.
indicate these symptoms indicate the loss of the containment characteristics of the vessel of soul. The work of psychology, it seems to me, consists of re-evaluation of the domains of the modern world in terms of metaphor, image, story, and dream. The
Now
things
that's
of
a
the
nice
world.
statement. That's a nice statement. In context, I don't think he means it the way you and I likely take it. Yeah. The work of
Yes.
psychology, it seems to me, consists of a re-evaluation of the domains of the modern world in terms of metaphor, image, story, and dream. So yeah, in other words, this absolutely needs to be re-evaluated, and this is what you and I do. Yeah, motive psychology is a complete re-evaluation. Wherever applicability is an entire re-evaluation, and
Yes.
specifically using metaphor and image, story, and dream. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, his whole negative point, that's a different philosophical point that, our moreness it's necessary because of awareness, right? It's
Yes.
not necessary, but it happens because of the necessity for awareness to prove itself.
Yes.
Yes, to construct itself, right? So it's unavoidable is the point that we make. Yes, from our beginning
Yes.
perspective. Yeah. All right.
Oh,
All right.
so your voice is cutting down big time.
I can hear you. So keep going.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So
So
so this is the keep going symbol, Beena.
okay. 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 The work of psychology, it seems to me, consists of a re-evaluation of the domains of the modern world in terms of metaphor, image, story, and dream. The things of the world have stories to tell when the fragmentations of culture are looked upon as analogous.
Analysis.
Dream,
Analysis. Sorry.
and
Analysis. Analysis.
analogous, okay, as
Analysis.
analogous,
Analysis.
okay,
Analysis. Yeah.
yeah, analogous to dream fragments through which the depth of the world seeks to be remembered.
Ah. Now that's very cool. I like this. This is now we're getting somewhere. The things of the world have stories to tell when the fragmentations of culture are looked upon as analogous to dream fragments through which the depth of the world seeks to be understood. So when we look at the things of the world, right, as stories, yeah. So
Yes.
basically we are shifting here. He's saying, look at the world and look at all the stuff that happens that doesn't make sense and see it as dream fragments which are looking to tell a story. Yeah. So, look at the world as a dream, and that's a very cool way of looking at things. Again, it's part of our way of bankability strategy is to look at everything symbolically. Same point. Yeah, I think it's even mentioned somewhere in Wave Impeccability to regard the world as a dream. It's very useful. Whether it
Yes.
is or isn't is irrelevant. It's the view which matters. Yeah, the is or the
Yes.
isn't doesn't matter. The view results in a result, and this
Yes.
is valuable, right? So the
Yes.
mechanism of perception and perspective is valuable.
Yeah.
Shift the paradigm.
Yes. The things of the world have stories to tell when the fragmentations of culture are looked upon as analogous to dream
Analogous.
analogous to dream fragments through which the depth of the world seeks to be remembered. Okay, now I'm understanding.
English tends to emphasize the second syllable. Remembered, analogous. See?
Okay.
Yeah.
The background for approaching the
Approaching.
world,
See?
yeah. The background for approaching the world in this manner is from archetypal psychology as practiced by James Hillman. Archetypally, his approach derives from Sophia, who stand as the world's soul. The background for approaching the world in this manner is from archetypal psychology. As practiced by James Hillman, archetypally, this approach drives from Sophia, who stand as the world soul. She, through whom
I would
every
assume world's soul, but anyway.
okay.
Can you make it just one little tick bigger, your page, Beena? Where it says 100% plus at the top there? Just click on it. Yeah, I see. There we go. Thank you. No. 110 was fine. Otherwise, you're going to have to scroll too much. One Beena, not two. Perfect.
It is 110.
I know. I said one tick or one click. So it went from 100 to
Okay,
110. That's one.
this is one click.
Right. I know, but you went to 120. So I said, no, one is
I
enough.
said I thought that okay, it might be, so it was just checking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is fine.
Okay, so the word archetypally, this approach derives from Sophia, who stand as the world soul. She, through whom everything in the outer world has qualities of interiority. Interiority, what it means, the
Yeah.
term, what it
Yeah.
means. Okay, I need to then check that.
No. Work it out. It's a very simple term. You can figure it out. Don't ruin your brain by doing unnecessary checking.
Okay.
Okay, so
Inner world.
think of
Inner world.
yeah.
Inner
It
world.
just means innerness, like
Yeah.
inferiority is, the quality of inferior. Interior is ority is the quality of. So there we go. Just it's very simple. It's
Okay. Who is Sophia? This question
of
shall be the
innerness,
main
interiority,
yes. Interiority.
same thing, right?
Yes. Everything in the outer world has qualities of interiority.
Wait a second. Moment. The bits that I
Yes.
heard sounded to me like sorrow was
I think I need still we
from
need
this
to
or paraphrasing or quoting from it. Yes.
Yes, your sound is breaking big time, so I'm not able to understand what you were saying. It's taking too much effort.
Wasn't he saying all the same stuff pretty much? Okay. I was saying, isn't what Cyril said pretty much the same thing as what's being said here?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
this is like his lecture notes almost, no?
yes.
Ah.
Okay. Who is Sophia? This question shall be the main focus of this letter, and what follows is an attempt to trace her activities in the shaping of the present world. We shall find the most ancient interwoven with the new. Okay. We shall avoid, on the one hand, all regression to the past, and on the other hand, all judgment and criticism and all prescriptions for improving the present state of the world activities that do not imply a radical alteration of consciousness.
By the way, did you see, Beena,
Yes.
my mere mention of the fact that English tends to emphasize the second syllable has made your reading and pronunciation much easier.
Yes.
It's helped a
Yes.
lot, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We shall find the most ancient interwoven with the new. Yes, it is. Okay. We shall avoid, on the one hand, all regression to the past. Okay. We shall avoid, on the one hand, all the regression to the past. Why he's saying that regression here?
Well, he's saying on the one hand, we're not going to go all the way down back into the past. We'll avoid getting immersed in the past. Yeah. And on the other hand,
Okay.
all judgment and criticisms and prescriptions for improving the present state of the world. So he's saying we're going to be non-judgmental. That's what he's saying. Yeah.
And non-judgmental toward present state of world activities
That
that
do
not imply a radical alteration of consciousness.
Okay. So by implication, he is interested in a radical alteration of consciousness.
Yes.
And he's going to ignore going back into the past or getting involved with the present unless it's got some value in terms of radical alteration of consciousness. Okay, very cool. Okay. A bit of a powerful term, radical alteration of consciousness, but okay. I mean, this is sort of an ideal for your art, but I don't know if I want my art to
But this is
necessarily
okay. But
result in a radical alteration of consciousness.
okay. But I have a question here. He says we shall avoid, on the one hand, all regression to the past, and on
Yeah.
the other hand, all judgment and criticism and all prescription for improving and to the present state of world activities that do not imply
Right.
a radical alteration
In other
of
words, he's
consciousness.
saying we're not going to get involved in politics or culture, all this. We're going to
Okay.
keep our
Okay.
focus on alteration of consciousness. That's
Okay.
very
There are
fancy way.
Yes, there are many myths and the stories of Sophia, all of which point to her as creator of the world. Pistis Sophia, she is called, meaning ever faithful. Faithfulness describes her constant presence within the things of the world where she silently waits with the gift that no one wants or recognizes: renewal and regeneration of the material world. In the agnostic
Gnostic.
or
No, just
Gnostic.
Gnostic. Yeah, the G
Okay.
is kind of silent. Yeah.
Okay. In the Gnostic myth, Sophia is situated at the 13th aeon, the archetypal world nearest to the fullness, the pleroma. Okay. She looks above and sees a radiant light and falls in love with the light. Seeking union with it, filled with desire, she becomes disoriented and sees another light. Huh? She descends
Yeah, he's describing the myth, I guess. So, all right.
Towards this light, which is usually away from the light to which she was originally attracted. She descends through the earth to the realm of chaos, to the reflected light rather than to the original light, and thus finds herself in exile, in prison. There she fashions the four elements of earth: water, fire, and air. Huh? Earth, water, fire, and air.
Yes,
And
again, this
therefore,
is not necessarily for the section. This is just what the myth says. Whether or not the myth makes sense or not, I guess you'll come to later on. Let's see.
and there also reside a number of beings such as the demiurge,
Demiurge, I would imagine that is demiurge.
demiurge, who watches over an impressive material world now fashioned by a lion faced being filled with the will for power. Hmm. Who is lion faced now? Sophia?
No, some different being. Yeah,
Okay. Filled with the will for
maybe,
power.
but I don't think so.
This world is characterized by outer appearance only. This world is characterized by outer appearance only. This world is characterized by outer appearance only.
Just
Okay.
image, appearance.
Yeah, but okay. This is
Again,
very
Beena, this is not what the author is saying. He is relating the myth. Now, he may comment on this afterwards, but he's just telling you what the myth says. I don't think at this point we need to go into whether the myth makes sense or not. It's a myth. So let's just hear what the myth says and then see if we need to dissect the myth or not. I don't think we need to. Yeah.
I think for me to understand it, what they are saying is necessary, because this
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
idea
but again,
of art
right?
is about this myth.
What they're saying is just they're just describing something. You're trying to
I
make
know,
sense
sir.
of the description,
Okay,
right?
I know, sir. But you know that,
Different thing.
this is for the purpose of this course, to
I
understand
I,
what
I know that
still is true.
I know that, Beena, but just trust me on this one. That you don't need to make sense of the myth. You just need to more or less know what the myth says. So just read through it as a whole. And if you need to come back, we'll come back to it. But I suspect if you read it as a whole, as a story, it will be enough for you to use in the course. You'll see. You'll see. Just trust me on this. Yeah.
This world is characterized by outer appearance only. World as a vast source of resources to be used up in creating more power. A world sources to be, okay. A world devoid of the quality of soul. Sophia has to watch this happening and vows she will never abandon the world. The events of the myth indicate that Sophia is saved from the realm of chaos and ascends again to the heavens, but never forgetting her vows to be faithful to the material world. She divides herself into two beings. Heavenly Sophia is the Mary of Christian myth. She is also similar, I suspect, to the great goddess pursued by modern feminists, all powerful and all wise. This is not, however, the figure of our interest. Rather, our desire is to remain with Sophia in exile. Seeking connection with her adds depth and image to the material world. Thus, we seek not redemption and ascension, but the location of her presence within the world, even where depth seems most unlikely. A second source of images of Sophia is the biblical tradition. Solomon the wise speaks of Sophia, Proverbs, and all that.
Okay. So pause there. So now let me take and say, okay, what is this myth and what's the takeaway and what's the point he's making, right? He's saying,
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, this goddess, whatever you want to call her, this force, this presence, she's there, and then the world gets caught up in image and status and surface and shallowness. But Sophia, there's a split, but the Sophia that's important is the one that's connected with depth, which Sophia means wisdom. Philosophy, the love of Sophie, the love of wisdom. See?
Yes.
Love of Sophia. So that's the point he's making here now. He wants to stay connected to, in other words, discernment, awareness, discernment, and understanding. So in at least in my, A plus, he is, Sophia is Anu, Anu, the root God. Yeah. So I do you, Adu, sorry, not Anu, Adu. Awareness, discernment, and understanding. But if you want to make it into a god, then you call the god Adu. as opposed to Anu, but very
Okay.
close. Right, see my point though, Beena? So now we've got the whole story condensed into one thing, that Sophie doesn't represent the shallow world, she represents the depth of the world. And the world got caught up in shallows of, but her connection to this material world is one of depth. So all right, let's see what Solomon has to say about this.
The Lord knew me at the beginning of his ways. Before he created anything, I was installed from eternity. From the beginning, before the earth, when the deeps were not yet in existence, I was already born. When the springs were not flowing with water, before the mountains were set upon their foundations, before the hills, I was born. When he had not yet made the earth and what is upon it, nor the mountains of the surface of the earth. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. I was there when he measured the deep, when he fixed the clouds above, when he made firm the springs of the deep, when he set a limit to the sea and the waters so that they should not overstep his command, when he laid the foundation of the earth. Okay, this image expressed the range of activities of Sophia because she was present at the origin of the world. Sophia is the archetypal figure of all sectors of existence. We could travel the world seeking her manifestation. We could travel the world seeking her manifestations, and she would never be exhausted. Such is the extent of her depth. We find her working within the world domain that serve as backdrops of the individual letters that follow. But our intention is to stimulate making connections with her to the point at which a new world is discovered through the remembering of her everywhere in all domains.
Okay, so really, it's just this connection to, again, right now it all starts to say, right? Stop being shallow, stop being connected to, surface, short-term things and shallow things, and look, awareness, discernment, understanding. If you see that is what he's saying, this is what we need to remember and be connected in everything. Start to see the sublime in the mundane, in other words. Yes, it's only a perspective shift away. Let me repeat that. In other words, to develop the ability to see the sublime in the mundane, especially since it's only a perspective shift away. Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Make sense, Beena?
Yes. Paracelsus, Paracelsus, no. Paracelsus.
Yeah.
Paracelsus. Okay. Paracelsus provides the greatest myth of world creation by Sophia in his philosophy addressed to the Athenians. The great mystery is the mother of all, he says, and by great mystery he means Sophia.
Mm.
Paracelsus. Okay, I'm losing it again. Paracelsus.
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 Put a hyphen between
Paracelsus. Okay.
para and Celsus.
Okay. Paracelsus compares Sophia in her creating power to the artistic material that is able to shape itself, that is at the same time the artist. Okay. However, the comparison has a special quality for when one carves a sculpture from a block of wood, the shavings are discarded, but in the shaping of the great mystery, the fragments too are creative aspects of Sophia, though they are of different qualities than the first matter. In the great separation of the whole, where go forth first the separate elements fire, air, water, earth. In this myth, the elements are all of an interior nature. Paracelsus speaks of the element as chests or containers. Fire as the chest of the heaven, air as the chest of the invisible fates, water that of the nymphs and sea monsters, earth that all growing things, including metals. Then another separation occurs from the fire are
separated the stars and the planet from air, the fates, impressions, incantations,
Incantations, yeah.
superstitions, evil deeds, incantations, superstitions, evil deeds, dreams, visions, apparition, spirits, and other beings of the sword from water, the fish,
Apparitions, yeah.
fleshy
Apparitions.
forms, apparition. What was the word? The other word. Okay. Marine
Sorry, don't worry about it.
monsters, nymphs, sirens, sirens, and from earth, words, minerals, metals, gems, fruits, flowers, herbs, seeds, animals. Here in this creation myth is presented a magnificent world as a work of art, all that we today call psychological phenomena, and in so doing, subjectivize by removing from the outer world and placing in the interior of the individual or collective psyche. All the world now, world beings, multiple manifestations of Sophia. In this myth, we have the beginning of a psychology of the outer world, which everywhere carries an inner sense.
Hang on,
All
hang on,
that
hang on. Can you scroll? Hang on, Beena, can you scroll up a little bit to the start of this Paracelsus's myth? I'm trying to understand. He's saying that in this myth we have the start of psychology. I don't see how he's quite getting there, but let's read it again. I'm missing something. Yeah.
Okay, Paracelsus provides the greatest myth of world creation by Sophia in his philosophy addressed to the Athenians. The great mystery is the mother of all, he says, and by great mystery he means Sophia. Paracelsus compares Sophia in her creating power to the artistic material that is able to shape itself, that it is at the same time the artist. However, the comparison has a special quality, for when one carves a sculpture from a block of wood, the shavings are discarded. But in the shaping of the great mystery, the fragments too are creative aspects of Sophia, though they are of different qualities than the first matter. In the great separation of the world, there go forth first the separate elements fire, air, water, earth. In this myth, the elements are all of an interior nature. Paracelsus speaks of the element as chests or containers,
Element.
fire as the chest
Elements.
of heavens. Sorry?
Yeah, Paracelsus speaks of the elements as chests. For
Yes.
some reason, you didn't read the S. He did it the
Paracelsus.
first time too. Yeah. He changes
Elements.
the meaning of it.
Paracelsus speaks of the element as chests.
No, see again, you said element. Read the sentence again. Paracelsus speaks.
Paracelsus speaks of the elements as chests. Okay. Or
Yeah.
containers, fire as the chest of the heavens, air the chest of the invisible fates, water that of the nymphs and sea monsters, earth that all growing things, including metals. Then another separation occurs. From the fire are separated the stars and the planets.
Okay.
From
Okay.
air,
We don't have to go through all the listing of the stuff here. It's kind of a long list, and it loses the
no,
point,
it is
right?
already done. We are
First, from
already
the
there
fire,
almost.
the stars and the planets. From air, the fates. Blah blah blah. From water, the fish. Scroll down.
Okay.
Scroll down, please, Beena.
Marine, yes.
Right. And
Marine
then
monsters, nymphs, sirens,
right,
and from earth, wood, minerals, metals, gems, food,
right,
flowers,
etc.,
herbs,
etc.,
seeds,
etc.,
animals.
etc. Right. Again, it's
Here
such a
in the
long list.
creation myth is
Point.
presented a magnificent world, yeah, world as a work of art, all that we today call psychological phenomena, and in so doing, subjectivized by removing from the outer world and placing in the interior of the individual or collective psyche.
Okay, okay. Pause quickly.
All
Sorry.
are
Hang
world.
on, hang on, hang on. There's an emphasis that's lost there. Here in this creation myth is presented a magnificent world as a work of art. All that we today call psychological phenomena. All that we today call psychological phenomena. It should be part of the previous sentence. And in doing so, subjectivize by removing out the word.
No,
And
no,
yeah. Let me
no,
read
it
it.
is after full stop.
I know, Beena, it's his poor grammar, his poor typing, right? Here in this creation myth is presented a magnificent world as a work of art. All that we today call psychological phenomena should be full stop, and then a new sentence. In so doing, subjectivized by removing from the outer world and placing in the interior of the individual or collective psyche. All are world phenomena, world beings, multiple manifestations of Sophia. So it's just convoluted here. But again, it's because I don't think it's quite clear here. In this myth,
Okay,
we have the
okay,
beginning of a psychology of the outer world, which everywhere carries an inner sense. I think
okay.
that this is his opinion of the myth. The myth itself doesn't say that, but okay. Maybe we're
No,
missing
okay,
something, but let's
okay,
just take your
okay,
word
okay.
for it.
Just for the point to be focused on. He says that when it was when it was the time of creation of Sophia. So
Right,
it was
right.
like from what she was being carved off. Okay, just for an example, like from a wood block, the shavings of the wood has been discarded. This is what happened. But in this case of Sophia, this creation, whatever has been actually discarded from, was also become a part of creation, but of a different nature. So those will become all the elements and manifest
Yeah.
in this world as a different creation. So
Yeah.
now, so the
Beena,
discarded
yeah.
one becomes the outer world, and Sophia become the inner world.
Oh, no. He's not saying that. He's just saying everything. In this myth, we have the beginnings or the beginning of a psychology of the outer world, which everywhere carries an inner sense. He's saying that really all world is artistically created. Sophia is in everything. And when you come down to it, it's actually a long story to say something very simple. And that there's moreness to everything. That's really what this is all about. A very long way of saying this. Right? Read that last sentence. In this myth, we have the beginning of a psychology of the outer world, which everywhere carries an inner sense. So, in other words, he's saying the outer world, which people saw only as surface, as just just stuff. He's saying actually everything has a moreness to it, carries an inner sense, a moreness, right? So it's a very long story to say something very simple. Yeah.
Well, okay, for me, it is like Sophia is an intent, and everything is a manifestation of the intent.
Yes, and that intent is wisdom or moreness, because Sophia means wisdom. Yeah. Yeah, but he's saying that the point really that is important here is that the mundane world, right? If you look at it that way, the mundane world actually carries with it moreness. So it changes the way the value of this is that it changes the way in which you perceive the world. If we just see a chair as a chair, that's all we see. But when we start to look at it through the lens of wave impeccability with a specific intent to extract moreness, now that chair changes. See? And we start to look at everything as having depth. And he mentioned this before, right? With the soul and the world as being one, and they're connected, and there's always depth. Yeah. So he's just saying there's always more, really. Yeah, Beena?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Does it make
I'm
sense what I'm
going.
saying, Beena?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to eat and then I'll be back.
Oh, okay.
Mm,
Very cool, Beena. Very cool, yeah.
yes, it is.
Well,
Okay, I'll be back.
all right, see you soon. See you soon.
What is this? I'll respond no. Okay.
So just to recap, it was a long story to essentially say the sublime exists in the mundane. Moreness is everywhere. There's always more. Yes?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. All that this myth says can be found in a condensed image, the world card of the tarot. In the center of this card dances a woman with a transparent scarf thrown lightly over her shoulder and a wand in her left hand. She is surrounded by a circle of garland, and in the four corners of the card, one sees an angel and an eagle above, a lion and a bull below. We are shown an image of the world as a dancing woman, not a mechanism or an organism. She is engaged in a creative act of movement and rhythm, a flowering sustained by the four elements. The scarf, lightly worn, draws aside the veil of appearance to communicate the secret essence of the soul of the world, the dance of creation. A third source of image is found in the legend of Parzival. Parzival, and the search.
Yeah, that's the old way of saying and spelling it. In modern times, just called Percival,
Okay.
right? Yeah, I mean
And
with
the
the C.
search for the Grail. In the Grail stories, particularly that of.
Sorry, Beena, sorry. This is and the legend of Percival and the search for the Grail. This is part of the Arthurian, Arthur and the Round Table, part of the Arthurian mythology. It may have been a separate myth that got incorporated. That happens often, but this is what he's referring to. Okay.
Okay. So the third source of the image is found in the legend of Percival and in the search of the Grail. In the Grail stories, particularly that of Wolfram
Yeah.
von, I don't know,
Essenbach.
Eschenbeck?
Yeah, Bach. Yeah, or Bach. Yeah.
Bach. Okay. Wolfram von Eschenbeck. Bach. I find the woman figures more significant than the heroic exploits of Percival.
Parzival. Yeah,
Parzival.
Yeah.
Eschenbach's story tells us of Herzeloid, Parzival's mother, is abandoned by her son. It tells us of what is Jesuit,
Yeah, Jesuit. Yeah.
Jesuit, whom innocent Parzival gets into a great deal of trouble by taking her ring and brooch. As a result of this action, Jesuit is abandoned by her husband. All her belongings are taken away, and she is sent to roam the world in rags. Then there is
Sigun.
Sigyun.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah.
Sigun.
Sigyun,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
virgin bride who Parzival comes upon in the forest. She sits holding her dead husband in her lap. She was a virgin bride now. Okay, yeah, I understand. Okay. The original Pieta, waiting in silence. All of these women from receptive image of Sophia.
No. Form repetitive.
Okay, repetitive. Okay, yes, all of these women form repetitive images of Sophia. Mother, lover, bride of the world, poor dumb Parzival must gradually come to consciousness that the renewal of the world does not consist in the finding of the grail, but in developing the capacity to see the grail women who are ever present, ever faithful to the world itself. This story informs us that the point of seeking the soul of the world is in the seeking, in paying attention to what is abandoned.
Opposite logic, in other words. Yeah.
Can you hold and feel these
Philosophy, not opposite
images?
logic. Sorry, philosophy of opposite. A little different.
Yeah. Can you hold and feel these images? Sophia usually is connected with nature. Just a minute, Sil. I need to close the door.
Yes. Banish them. Banish them. Oh.
Okay. Can you hold and feel these images? Sophia usually is connected with nature as a creating activity within the world. But then connection does not take us far, and it takes us in the wrong direction. In past times, the material world was equated with the world of nature. In past time, the material world was equated with the world of nature. But that certainly is no longer the case. We now have to include all the products that humanity has brought into the world. So if we now turn to nature to find Sophia, it is not in order to turn away from the present world, but in order to gain clues concerning her moods of appearance. Hmm.
Wow. Yeah, this is interesting perspective. That a lot of people feel that the world does not really, the world as a capital W world. It does not include the products of man.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Now, my
Yes.
personal perspective on this, of course, is a little different to what he's saying, but yeah, it is a common perception. Whether or not it's accurate is a different debate. But yeah.
Okay. For me, we are part of the nature. We are the manifestation of the nature, human beings. And this is our creativity. We have been practicing and exercising our abilities and about our intelligence, in other words, to build and create our own world. It's just an expression. Yes, odd architectures, yes, buildings, and you call it pollution and everything, but this is how things happen. It's a chaos.
Yeah, but I
The
think
chaos was
we can
happening.
find Sophia in everything.
Yeah.
If
So
you look
the chaos was happening in the beginning, like in the mythology world.
Yeah.
But now the chaos is, yes, okay, because of so many construction, because of so many factories and other stuff, as noise pollution. Yeah, this is just chaos of creation.
Yes, also the gods back in the day had reserved chaos as their own domain. But as man has evolved and become more powerful, man has said, hey, wait a second, I can also create chaos.
Yeah. So this is our chaos of creativity. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not in favor of pollution. No, I'm not saying that.
yeah.
But the way it is exaggerated, and it has been like, okay, because other people like the Greenpeace one, we should not do anything at all. No ships, no planes,
Yeah.
no factories, nothing at all. So this is something exaggerated version. Okay. So yes. Okay, when the ancient seer looked upon the world, what did they see? They saw magic. One can still see that today, if one knows how to look, the seer might be walking in a.
Hang on. One can still see that today if one knows how to look. Yeah, yeah. A little different the emphasis there, right? It's
One
important.
can
That's what
still see that today,
should be a comma
if
there.
one knows how to look.
Yeah.
Okay, if one can see.
In other words,
Okay, if one
moreness
can.
is always more. We just have to
Yes,
extract
one can
those.
still see that.
Yeah,
One can still see that today if one knows how to look. Okay.
yeah.
The seer might be walking in a forest and see among all the trees a birch, because the birch is such a conspicuous tree. It
Conspicuous.
is
Yeah, in this case, I know sometimes
conspicuous.
the C is a S and sometimes a C. Yeah.
Okay,
Conspicuous.
it's such a conspicuous tree. It is unbelievably supple. With her beautiful white trunk, she stands, yielding to the slightest movement of air, swaying amongst the more woody and unbending trees such as the oaks and beeches. No matter how old a big birch becomes, the suppleness is retained, and she does not allow herself to be overgrown, drawing up enormous amount of water through her roots. The birch effectively drains the ground. The seer sees these qualities and thus sees the gift of the birch. She is wonderful medicine. Since she is able to keep at bay all hardening tendencies, the birch can assist in keeping body tissue soft and supple. Because the birch drains as well, she offers an effective diuretic. But we need not conclude from this example that the way to Sophia is the return to nature. It is not so much the birch that is important as it is the way of seeing the birch, seeing the
You got it.
magic in the birch, its
Yeah.
soul qualities.
In other words, the magic of
Sorry?
perspective. In other words, the magic of shifting, perspective shifting, perception shifting, conception shifting, paradigm shifting, context shifting. Yes,
Hmm.
people miss the forest for the
Yes.
trees, but we need not conclude from this example that the way to Sophia, the way to wisdom, the way to knowledge, the way to depth, the way to moreness is the return to nature. No, that time has passed. It's not practical to return to nature as we see from Walden, right? It is not so much the birch that is important as it is the way of seeing the birch. In other words, seeing, perceiving, observing, analyzing, assessing, discerning, yeah, etc. Right? Yeah.
Yes. Its soul quality is magic. Then, okay. Seeing the magic in the birch, its soul qualities, magic, then is the soul of the world creating itself.
Yeah.
According to its own laws, in the language of Goethe,
They say it should be Goethe, but they say Goethe.
okay, Goethe,
The TH
okay,
in German is pronounced kind of like just a regular T, so Goethe. Yeah.
okay. Goethe magic is an up art phenomenon. What is art phenomenon?
I never heard this word. UN. Maybe it's meant to be. Yeah, it's UR phenomenon.
Yes, yeah,
No,
you are
what is?
phenomenon.
Well, it's an irreducible reality. So a last thing, something that can't go, it can't be reduced anymore. So okay.
Magic is an art phenomenon.
So
And
so an
it,
phenomenon is something that would be a root.
Okay,
I would imagine that's what
okay,
they mean.
okay, okay.
A root cause, yeah, an phenomenon, as opposed to a phenomenon which is the result of something else. A phenomenon is the thing that causes other stuff to be, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
An
Yeah, it says
irreducible
there what it
reality.
means.
Oh,
Yeah, it
yes,
says.
I'm saying that.
Yeah.
An irreducible reality. It cannot be analyzed into anything more basic.
There
For
you go.
Goethe,
See?
light is an art phenomenon. So is magnetism.
Right.
It is not possible to reduce these phenomena to parts, not even with modern electromagnetic theory, which, far from accounting for their presence, rather provides abstraction that brings the unknown under control precisely by obscuring the soul of the phenomenon. Missing something.
It's not.
It is not
It's very
possible.
debatable that sentence there,
Okay,
but I
it
see
is
this.
not
You know,
possible.
it's very popular when people like Goethe make these statements, and then science comes along and says, "Well, not so fast, Goethe. You know, this is how it actually works." But they don't like it. They want these things to be simple. So they say, "Well, no, not really. You know, it is actually as Goethe said. All right, in one sense, yes. In another sense, no. Okay.
Okay. For Goethe, light is an R phenomenon. So is magnetism. It is not possible to reduce these phenomena to parts, not even with modern electromagnetic theory. Okay, at least then, which far from accounting for their presence, which far from accounting their presence, okay, rather provides abstractions that brings the unknown under control precisely by obscuring the soul of the phenomenon. It is likewise not possible to explain magic, though there are plenty of technicians of magic around. Magic is the phenomenon of Sophia.
I like that. That's very cool way of saying that because you know I do feel that at some point. Yes, you can you know technically reduce light and magnetism into its component parts, but this is irrelevant. It is the effect of light and magnetism that's magic, not light and magnetism itself.
Yes.
Right?
Now there is magic, and there is the magic of the soul of the world. Christopher Marlowe, Marlowe,
Smaller,
okay,
smaller. Yeah.
Marlowe. Okay, Christopher Marlowe's fasts Faust
Faust.
presents.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just a quick point here. Goethe
Yes.
is known for his book Faust, but Christopher Marlowe also wrote a book on Faust, and Faust is essentially another word for the devil, right? No, sorry, no. Faust is the character of his book who is tempted by the devil to sell his soul.
Okay.
So that's the classic story, where you sell your soul, and you get all these wonderful things, and then you pay for it later, right? So it's this classic, myth or story of don't sell your soul, right?
Hmm.
So Faust is the origin of this, at least in modern times. I suspect there were stories going back, but Goethe's Faust is what made that such a big popular thing. At least, in the modern times, when you talk about selling your soul to the devil, it derives from Faust. Now, Marlowe also wrote a Faust, which is interesting. Yeah, or may even have done so before Goethe.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. So I think Marlowe is older than Goethe, if I remember correctly, but not sure. Anyway.
Just a
Sorry,
minute,
keep
sir.
going.
Just a minute.
Sure.
Okay, so this is the same concept which is still about some celebrities. People say, oh, he sold his soul. He already sold his soul and all that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You're getting material reward at the expense of your inner self, in other words, your greatest self.
Okay. 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 Now, okay, Christopher Marlowe's Faust presents
Faust.
the archetype. Yeah? Faust.
Faust.
Faust. Okay. Faust present the archetypal image of individual magic. The not usurpation,
Yeah,
usurpation.
it's usurpation. Yeah, to usurp. It's like
Usurpation.
when you
Yeah.
kick a king out of his throne and you take over, you've usurped him. That's where the word comes from.
Okay. Usurpation
Yeah.
of the realm of the magic of the world by the need for control. Faust reveals an image of elitism, of one who sought special privileges for himself and the means to obtain them.
Shortcut logic, cheating, in other words.
Yeah. Magic here becomes the way to power, to accomplishment without responsibility. This is, yes, to accomplishment without responsibility.
Cheating.
Yes.
Shortcut.
The degradation of soul wisdom to individual omnipotence. Degradation of soul wisdom to individual omnipotence. Okay. Yeah. With Faust, the realm of imagination is reduced to material. With Faust, the realm of imagination is reduced to material, outer fact, where the magician himself is the source of the magical operation. Faust, in fact, has a vision in which he sees the formation of the modern technical world, Sophia magic, on the contrary
No, no, sorry.
signifies
See,
the
you
power.
blended the two sentences there.
Yeah. Okay, I was rushing to read the other one. Okay, next one.
Yeah.
Sophia magic, on the other hand,
So
okay, on
Faust,
the contrary,
where is
signifies.
that? Faust, in fact, has a vision in which he sees the formation of the modern technical world. It's a poor sentence. Faust, in fact, has a vision in which he sees the formation of the modern technical world.
Sophia magic, on the
Yeah.
contrary, signifies the power of the invisible, the power of soul, waiting to be released in the world. Presence of Sophia in the world offers not the artificial reshaping of the earth, but the ever present possibility of the formation of a soul consciousness in conjunction with the soul of the world.
Okay, now that's a very powerful sentence. Sorry, please move your cursor, Beena. It's disturbing there in the on top of the stuff. It keeps pulling my eye. Just move it to the side. Oh, it's mine. Never mind. There we go. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so the presence of Sophia in the world offers not the artificial reshaping of the world, and this is what people are trying to do all the time with material stuff, right? But the ever-present possibility of the formation of a soul consciousness in conjunction with the soul of the world. In other words, attunement and moreness. You're not going to get moreness through material. You're going to get moreness through attunement. This is what the sentence says, yes? Beena?
Yes.
How cool is that, yeah?
Yes. The magical world, so sorry, the magical tradition, when not corrupted, never concerns an interest in personal power, but rather the passage through.
Hopefully, ideally, not in reality. Yes. But again, he says we're not corrupted. So, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, yeah, you're saying that. When not corrupted, never concerns an interest in personal power, but rather the passage through three great ways leading to the capacity for perception of the world soul. The first gateway concerns remembering the ancestors, passing into living relation with the ancestors.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm not sure on what this is premised, but we'll take his word for it for now. I mean, he's
Okay.
stating this as a fact, but, it's stating facts, not in evidence, but all right.
The second gateway concerns passing into a living relation with archetypal beings. And the third gateway gives passage into the soul substance of the land. Rather than coming to personal power through these activities, humans become mediators between the ancestral and archetypal beings and the archetypal substance of the land. Earth here, the land, does not carry the connotation of nature or of inert matter. The land does not carry the connotation of nature or of inert matter. The physical being of the planet is composed from numerous worlds that in the magical tradition are called the inner worlds. The inner worlds are not worlds within our imagination, but are imaginal worlds populated by the composing beings of the fabric of the physical planet. The inner worlds are not worlds within our imagination, but are imaginal worlds populated by the composing beings of the fabric of the physical planet. Our imagination is the organ by which we know these composing beings. Then why it is not imaginative? Okay, like within our imagination. Okay, our imagination is the organ by which we know these composing beings, the magical world, the inner world. The psychic world is the world of the physical planet and none other. Yes, the magical tradition sustains the feeling we all have, but never acknowledge. The magical tradition sustains the feeling we all have, but never acknowledge that everything is animated. Such feeling is not animism. For animism is a theory that says soul life is projected on to an inanimate world from within the human psyche. On the contrary, soul inheres within the world and creates our psyche. It's a bit contradictory here for me, or maybe I'm not getting it.
It's just a bit
When he
convoluted. Yeah.
when he says that the inner worlds are not worlds within our imagination. Okay, this is beyond our imagination. Okay, but are imaginal worlds. Okay. It is not in our
Yeah, yeah.
imagination,
Well,
but
you're
they are
saying that
imaginal.
in the magic tradition, these inner worlds are actual places represented by the various forces of the world.
Yeah, but also he's saying that our imagination is the organ by which we know these composing beings.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the inner worlds are products of our imagination. Like you were saying, materializing is not creating. Same thing here. Yeah, same logic, right? It's saying that inner worlds, you need your imagination to perceive them, but they aren't products of your imagination. They exist independent of your imagination, but you need your imagination to see them. Make sense?
Yes.
Kind of a
Okay.
good point. The last sentence ties it all together,
Magical
right?
traditions sustain the feeling we all have, but never acknowledge that everything is animated. Such feeling is not animism. For animism is a theory that says soul life is projected onto an inanimated world from within the human psyche. On the contrary, soul inheres within the world and creates our psyches. Okay.
Right. So he's saying that's the important sentence there. On the contrary, soul inheres within the world and creates our psyches. So he's saying that soul is something separate to you and that creates you from externally. It's very cool. Very interesting point.
What happens when we enter into the inner sense of the world? We leave the world of space and enter into the world of movement. The noun world is transformed into verb. Okay.
Oh, the
In
known
taking,
world. Yeah.
no, noun into verb.
Oh, the noun, comma, world. Yeah.
Noun world, the noun world, not comma. The noun world is transformed into verb world.
No,
Okay,
I
let's
think
put it.
that's what he's trying to say, though, is the noun world, comma, is transformed into verb. Yeah.
Okay. In taking the inner sense of the world as if it were spatial, spatial.
Spatial.
Yeah.
I know it's
Oh,
peculiar. Spatial.
seriously. Okay,
Yeah.
spatial rather than in motion. No, it's spatial. Okay. If it were,
Spatial. It's because the T is in front of an I. Then it makes it that
okay.
yeah.
Taking the inner sense of the world as if it were special rather than in motion. We are under the influence of Faust, for that is the deception of Faust. The desire to make the magical world conform to the special world, we see it every day. The desire to visit other places literalized into space travel. The desire to directly see other places satisfied by television. The desire to process other world literalized into economics. The desire to possesses other world literalized into economics. These new literalizations are now where Sophia can be found in exile. Degradation of magic comes about with a desire for personal gain from the magical worlds. The greatest magical gifts are not powers such as seership or the attainment of wealth, but the gift of speech, active speech that does not capture but keeps the soul in active motion. Got it, for one understood this gift not only in his poetic talent but also in his science, which is the science of the world in movement, of the soul, of the world, of the soul of the world. Look to his studies of color as the metamorphosis of light and darkness, to his studies of plants and the movement of the archetypal plant, and as well his research into the metamorphosis of animals, of weather, and of geologic formations. Gaude's crowning achievement, okay, yes, crowning achievement concerns the metamorphosis of the human being, the subject of his Faust, the orientation toward the return of the soul of the world. The tradition of Sophia as the world in magic is the subject of the third card of the major arcana of the tarot, the Empress of the Marseille. Yeah,
Empress of the, move your cursor there where it is. Oh, Marseille. Yeah,
okay.
it's French.
Empress of the Marseille deck is pictured sitting on a throne with a back that appears like the frozen wings of an angel. She wears a tiered, okay, yes. What else I can pronounce? Tiara. So it is tiered crown. In her right arm, resting on her leg, she holds a shield. The emblem on the shield is a golden eagle in flight. In her left hand, she holds a scepter. The scepter consists of a long staff surmounted with a globe divided horizontally in half by a belt, giving the appearance of two cups, one upside down on top of the other. The top of the golden globe wears a cross. She wears a blue cloak, converting, covering a red dress. A band of yellow lies as a necklace. And directly below, she wears a belt of gold over the blue cloak. The two levels of the crown of the Empress indicate her authority over two planes. She serves that which is above and that which is below. The crown further indicates a consciousness of her position. That is, she possesses conscious understanding of the world. The golden eagle in flight imagines the world as a world of movement, its soul life as rhythm and motion. The scepter depicts that through which the action of magic occurs. The bottom half of the globe surmounting the scepter shows the power of receptivity.
There you go.
Yeah. The bottom half of the globe surmounting the scepter shows the power of receptivity. The top half of the globe shows the influx of soul into the world. The cross on top of the globe images the perfect union of receptive power with soul, the unity of the vertical and the horizontal world, of depth spread throughout the physical world. The red and blue of the dress the red and blue of the dress signify the world as vital and alive. Through the circulation of the blood of soul, and the golden necklace and belt signify the yoking of soul and world. In this magnificent figure of the tarot, we have an image of Sophia that provides all we need for beginning the work of seeing through the outer world of its inner essence. In introducing Sophia as Empress of the Tarot, the figure of sacred magic, we must not lose our connection with the world by taking this image as belonging to a spiritual discipline having nothing to do with the daily outside world. Sophia is then abandoned, and we are off on a spiritual or psychological trip, concerned only with personal development. All the while, we miss the significance of the image to bring the world into psychological work. There exists, however, one phenomenon which we are all familiar, even if we have no knowledge of our traditions, that presents a prime image of magic as the soul of the world. It's a phenomenon that exists in the world but at the same time disappears unless given attention. This phenomenon is the rainbow. We all feel the appearance of rainbow as a magical event. The rainbow unites the above and the below, and the outcome of this bridging is color. Yes, this bridging is color. When we behold the rainbow, we are not looking at the nature merely in an outer aspect. We are face to face with nature merely in an outer space. We are face to face with, we are directly perceiving the soul of the world. The rainbow is at the same time the only phenomenon in nature that depends for its appearance not only on sun and earth, but also on us. For the rainbow itself moves with the observer. Each person sees his own separate bow of color.
Say the last
And
part
yet,
again, please.
yeah, this is interesting. The rainbow is at the same time the only phenomenon in nature that depends for its appearance not only on sun and earth, but also on us. For the rainbow itself moves with the observer. Each person sees his own separate rainbow of color, bow of color, and yet that color belongs to the world. The rainbow was venerated by the Egyptian under the name of Isis, that is to say, Sophia. The rainbow is a rare appearance of the archetype that nonetheless works throughout the outer world, a phenomenon of pure movement that gives the world its color, that the rainbow does not appear except through attention given to it indicates that Sophia waits. Magic needs the agreement of the human in order to show forth. What are the terms of the agreement? What must be done to enliven the resonance between ourselves and the soul of the world? Here, I wish to give a few indications of the kind of practice involved in the development of these letters. The primary practice is silence, the first aspect of magic. Through silence, we are able to approach the creating powers of the world. These powers are qualitative experiences of the world in which there is no separation between what is purely physical and what is purely of the soul element. The tradition names these creating powers, earth, air, fire, and water. Everything of this world is created through the transformation of these elements that are the active powers of the soul of the world. Four other arts accompany the entrance into silence. Just a minute.
What's that?
Just a minute.
Okay.
Amy? क्या आवाज दे रही है तुष्का? Okay. Okay.
Is Tushka
Four
there?
other art. Sorry?
Is Tushka visiting?
Yeah, she just left now.
No.
She was here. Yeah. Okay. Yes, okay. Four other arts accompany the entrance into silence: concentration, meditation, picture making, and contemplation. With concentration, we enter into the creating powers of air. Concentration is the uniting with the air element. With meditation, we enter into the creating powers of fire, the capacity of thinking so intensely that the fire within things illuminates them from within. With picture making, we enter into the creating powers of water. That is, imagination is the water element, perfectly reflecting the inner essence of the outer world. With contemplation, we enter into the creating power of elemental earth. Contemplation, to move within the temple of the soul of the world. Seen through Sophia, the so called spiritual disciplines become a way of facing the world with soul. We are accustomed to taking concentration, meditation, picture making, or imaging and contemplation as belonging to individual consciousness when they are. It seems to me a giving over of individual consciousness to the consciousness that is the soul of the world. Concentration is the art of forgetting our own subjectivity in order to be fully available to what presents itself. Ah, when the activities of personal thinking and personal feeling are stilled, the subjectivity of the outer world express itself. Meditation is a new kind of thinking, not going off to an ashram or a private room to ah and oh, but leaving behind the physical brain, which can only reflect the material world in its
Which can only
outer.
reflect what?
This is really interesting because he's now saying exactly our words.
Yeah.
Meditation is a new kind of thinking, not going off to an ashram or a private room to ah and oh, but leaving behind the physical brain, which can only reflect the material world in its outer aspect. In order to enter into the intelligence of things, thus, meditation is the intensification of intelligence, the warmth and light within things. Picture making or imaging unfolds from the action of meditation. Images are reflections of the warmth of meditation. They are a reflective intelligence, but this intelligence must maintain intimate connection with concentration and meditation alone. Imaging focuses only on the product, and picturing becomes looking at pictures. And then contemplation. The call to contemplative life no longer implies removal from the world, but the exact opposite, constant mobile relation with the movement of the soul of the world. In the following letters, these art of the soul constitute the practice that fosters the attempts to move into the consciousness soul to achieve the fully conscious presence of the soul of the world. As you shall see, I have eschewed methods that would mostly easily evoke this kind of presence of the world in order to avoid nostalgic primitivism. Hmm. Nostalgic primitivism. A view of the world of nature is better than the actual world, with which we must daily contend, and above all, to avoid the development of purely personal abilities and powers. Return now to the opening question: who is Sophia? An answer that condensed everything that I have said thus far. A final image of Sophia can be found in the golden S of Appius. I don't know what is the word. Yes. After his many travails and after having been turned into an S, Lucius in this novel, which occurs at the time of disappearance of the creating powers of the universe and the coming into dominance of the human intellect, is in a desperate place and turns to implore Sophia for help. He then falls asleep and she appears in a dream. Here is the dream image. First, she had an abundance of hair that fell gently in dispersed ringlets upon her neck. A crown of interlaced wreaths and varying flowers rested upon her head, and in its midst, just over the brow, there hung a plain circlet resembling a mirror or rather a miniature moon, for it emitted a soft clear light. This ornament was supported on either side by vipers that rose from the furrows of the earth, and above it blades of corn were disposed. Hmm. A garment dyed many colors was woven of fine flecks. One part was gleaming white, another was yellow as the crocus, another was flamboyant with the red of roses. But what obsessed my gazing eyes by far the most was her pitch black cloak that shone with a dark glow. It was wrapped around her, passing from under the right arm over the left shoulder and fastened with a knot like the boss of a shield. Part of it fell down in pleated folds and swayed gracefully with a knotted fringe along the hem. Upon the embroidered edges and over the whole surface, sprinkled stars were burning, and in the center, a mid-month moon breath breathed forth her floating beams. Lastly, a garland wholly composed of every kind of fruit and flower clung of its own accord to the flutter border of that splendid robe. Then Sophia speaks to Lucius, and we hear from her who she is. Behold, Lucius, moved by your prayer, I come to you. I, the natural mother of all life, the mistress of the elements, the fire child of time, supreme divinity, the queen of those below, the first among those in heaven, the uniform manifestation of all the gods and goddesses. I who govern by my nod, the crest of the light in the sky, the purifying depths of the ocean and silence of below. Sophia, rhythmic dance of the soul of the world, rainbow of colors and forms. You are the world as a work of art. You are the world as a work of art, and you demand from us to understand the world artistically rather than intellectually.
Can you read that again, Beena? You're reading it too soft. I can't really grab it. It's like you're reading
You
it
were
to yourself.
sleeping. So I was trying to gently slow it down. Okay. Sophia, rhythmic dance of the soul of the world, rainbow of colors and forms. You are the world as a work of art, and you demand from us to understand the world artistically rather than intellectually. But at
There
the
you go.
same time, art need not be separated from intellect. Imagination need not be removed from thought. The formation of a consciousness that can hold these capacities together seems to me to be the task of this age. And a further part of the task involves the development of the capacity to center such imaginal thought within the events of the world as we now face them. Active imaginal thought promotes the gradual transforming of the taken for granted notion that it is we who are doing the thinking to the stance that is the world that thinks through us. If intellectual thought and abstraction constitute the source of the soul, constitute the source of the all-pervading world malaise.
Belies, yeah. Would it be?
Oh, world malaise, I don't know what it is. Okay. All-pervading world malaise. Okay.
It doesn't prove. Belies, it's like not lies, but it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't prove, doesn't demonstrate, doesn't show.
Okay. It is not thought itself that is the disease, but the fact that thinking is in need of living qualities. It is not thought itself that is the disease.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what you've been saying all this time.
Yeah. It is not thought itself that it is a disease, but the fact that thinking is in need of living qualities.
Right. It's not overthinking that's the problem. It's inefficient and ineffective thinking that's the problem, right?
Yeah. We approach the world as if it is already finished, completed, and we approach consciousness as if it is already finished. When one
Yeah.
thinks in the ordinary way, for example, one is aware of the object of thought, but not of the activity of thought itself, paying attention itself. This disease of consciousness is now universal,
Yeah.
as pointed out by George Coolwind. I don't know, Coolwind, and is the disease of thinking with dead thoughts, thoughts that have already been thought, forms that are already completed. Sorry, complete.
Regurgitation, in other words, not
Yeah.
actual thinking.
Yeah.
What's
Thoughts
the
that have,
basic premise for way of impeccability? Make it your own, right? People want to regurgitate, they rely on memory and they get status from memory, not by making it their own, not by thinking it for themselves, not by
yes,
rethinking it, creating it, figuring it out. That's the bottom line there, right?
thinking with that thought, thoughts that have already been thought, forms that are already complete. And if one attempts to avoid this disease by turning instead of to image, the situation is no different. I'm aware of the picture, but not of the picturing. And then if one instead turns to feeling, the situation is even worse. With thought, it is at least possible to be aware that one is aware of the thought, but not the thinking. Feeling does not even have this limited uh, autonomy. We are moved by feelings, suffer them, and once there they have their way with us. I can think what I choose to, but I cannot choose to feel a given feeling at will. Okay, this is what was like. Okay, mood and feeling was mixed up in our deliberate feeling and all that. Okay, in all realms of consciousness, we are aware of the content of consciousness, but not the of the act itself, because the act is a world act that we have come to take as our own, thereby producing an impenetrable veil over the world. The only way to lift this veil is to think on the side of the world. One makes an effort to think in step with the thought of the world. Thus, it becomes necessary to approach the given world, not the world as one would like it to be. Yes, okay, this is what I would say. The next step is to try to be attentive with a deeper level of the soul, to perceive the feelings of the world through one's feeling of the world. Sorry, the only way to live this veil is to think on the side of the world. One makes an effort to think in step with the thought of the world. Thus, it becomes necessary to approach the given world, not the world as one would like it to be. The next step is to try to be attentive with the deeper level of the soul, to perceive the feelings of the world through one's feeling of the world, through one's feeling of the world. Okay. This requires total silence on the part of all feelings of attraction or repulsion. It is not a question of the feelings that the world calls up in me, but of the feeling through which I feel the world, but of the feelings through which I feel the world. Just as a work of art can be experienced through its own feelings, then in the expression of the world as it thinks itself through one tries to make sure not to say, it's okay, not to say anything superfluous, to speak only when there is something there that speaks. There follows the attempt to become one with the world occurrence, the occurrence of the world which seems at first formally understandable, but whose soul remains hidden. What is now spoken, thought, imaged, does not have the aim of being informative, but present itself in soul in order to be realized. This kind of imaginal thought does not have as its aim a flash of understanding after which we fall back into an experience of now I have it. The aim is a real dwelling in the element from which we normally only register flashes, and those only after they are over and done with. What is the aim of approaching the world in this manner? The aim is not only to realize the soul in the world, but also to make the soul of the world, to increase the giving out of soul in order to make soul. Oh, okay. The aim is not only to realize the soul in the world, but also to make the soul of the world, to increase the giving out of soul in order to make soul. Okay. In order to make this aspect of the work clear, I must return to the previous image of the tarot word card. In describing this image, I omitted a significant detail. I stated that the dancing woman carries a wand in her left hand, an emblem of sacred magic. In her right hand, she is holding something else, a barely discernible object that can only be described as a filter, a magical potion or charm, an emblem of illusory magic. Through this aspect of the image, we must confront the power of illusion when focusing on the world. The manner of approaching soul in the world I have described in terms of the wand of magic and world as magic. We are now in the midst of time when there appears to be very strong concern for the world. Ecology, preservation, restoration, control of pollution, recycling, saving the animals, saving the forests, curbing corporations, saving the planet, the world is very much on our mind. All of these actions are not on the side of the wand, but on the side of the magic potion, on the side of illusion, because they are all assume that it is we who can gain control through enacting measures to of restraint on destructive forms of consciousness. They do not propose a radical alteration of consciousness itself. Alone, these measures encourage the illusion that with carefulness and planning, we can be in charge of the world, treat her better than our immediate predecessors. However, we are not lords of the planet. An allowing of the truth that we are ourselves an aspect of the world with the falsehood that we are in charge produces illusions. One might think that in this day and age, each of us has plenty of worry about pollution, devastation of land and forests, acid rain, overdevelopment. Now we are told that in addition, we have to worry about our consciousness. If by some great act, all the problems of ecology, for example, were politically solved tomorrow, within less than a month, all these same problems would be back. For the real problem is diseased consciousness. We can throw money, programs, policies endlessly into these world concerns, and absolutely nothing will be different. The aim of the approach in these letters is not the solution of problems, but the making of soul. These letters do not progress like logical thought. Moving from one letter to another is more like following a mosaic, or perhaps the letters lack even that sense of order. If the reader comes to this work in a conventional state of awareness, confusion may result, producing marked discomfort, and the discomfort may be further enhanced by the fact that when one comes to psychology, there is the expectation that the human being will be at the center. We are always fascinated with ourselves. Yeah, big time. We are always fascinated with ourselves. I just love this thing. Yes. Thus, dear friend, perhaps to be, sorry, prepare to be disturbed. Though my intention is not to seek disturbance for its own sake, this unfortunate effect of the work will, I hope, stimulate soul capacities that have slumbered long in the history of humanity. Now may feel an initial hopelessness as you enter into the faces of the world that I present, but that feeling too belongs to Sophia. That feeling of being in exile while nonetheless within the midst of everything of the world. This work may also engender the fearful experience at the literal world. Fearful experience at the literal world. The world that we all really on in order to get up every day and function is dissolving. Psychology, as presently known and practiced, works precisely because one feels the safety of the conception of the world as a literal place, an ever present solid background enabling one to leave for a time to go on internal trips where everything has a dreamlike quality of constant motion. We are most willing to go on psychological trips of one sort or another, confident that we can return to the illusion of a world of concrete stability with the approach to the soul of the world that follows. That illusion is taken away as the work of centuries to produce a world of Maya is exposed. Yes, illusion. It is now commonplace to say that the only stability is change. And in the midst of living in an illusion of stability that now seems to shift frequently, though periodically, the cliche of change is comforting because it does not make much of a demand. This dictum merely states that one must be prepared, for tomorrow the world will be different. It does not compel living in change as the constant of the present, nor does it speak to the necessity of forming the capacity of experience change as an activity instead of as only a product. Mm. Change as an activity instead of as only a product. Mm. Thus, we are able to sustain the illusion of a stable literal world, allaying the anxiety that the world may be different tomorrow with the confidence that it will be possible to make the adjustment. This work on the soul of the world narrows the gap between the reliable and the unknown and dislodges
The word? Move your cursor where the word
the
is.
this work on the soul of the world narrows the gap between the reliable and the unknown and dislodges the feeling that no matter what, control will be possible. The question
Hmm.
arises if it becomes possible to accept that Sophia is behind all this change in the world and that inviting her out of exile seems to be accompanied by such uncomfortable result. Is it not better to keep her confined? In the last letter, I will attempt to respond to this pressing question. Here, I only indicate that Sophia is I don't know how to pronounce it. Accompanied,
Where's the word? Just
A
wiggle
double.
your cursor.
Okay, here.
Accompanied.
Accompanied. Okay, accompanied by an archetypal helpmate. This soulmate does not offer stability, but functions as one through whom it becomes possible to enjoy instability and navigate in it. Though not to control it, this helpmate is even more occluded than Sophia. I must allow her to speak first. Russian icon of the Holy Sophia. Mm,
Yeah, I think Sophia is very much alive in Russian, old Russian Orthodoxy still.
uh, the Temple of the Holy Grail. Okay,
Ah,
let
it's a
me.
nice picture that I like that one. Right?
Yeah.
I like. I like.
Okay, so this was the first letter.
What's your takeaway on it, Beena?
Okay, there are there's many things which I want to have more clarity about.
I don't think it's necessary, Beena, really.
I
The
do
whole
understand
letter,
about. Okay,
yeah.
I do understand about the Sophia as a consciousness, of course, as a wisdom itself, and the projection of wisdom also, or intent of wisdom also, because it's a not duality. You can say that multi-aspectness involved here, because
Think of Sophia as Allah and it all makes sense.
Yes, this is what I'm saying. I was trying to say that. Okay. And I was listening to a philosopher and a scholar here, and he says that when Allah creates wisdom, and according to Quran, that wisdom is the most beautiful creation ever.
Yeah.
And they were also saying, okay, I'm not, because he was using the word akal. Akal means, let me check,
He
wisdom
was
or
using the word occluded or occult or what?
in English.
Occluded just means hidden, like not clearly
Okay,
seen. Not hidden, but not clearly seen.
okay, so this is exactly not wisdom, but it is like the ability to comprehend,
Yeah, yeah.
intelligence.
Understanding.
Yes, understanding. Or so this is what he was saying, that this is the most beautiful creation ever. And
Awareness, in other words. Yeah.
yes, and that
Capital A
it
awareness.
has
Capital A
it
awareness.
has a presence. Okay, in at that time, it has okay, not physical, but maybe a spiritual form or shape, or existence at least. And the words he was saying, that, and Allah says that, okay, just show yourself. And she was turning, he was using she for that word, that okay, she was turning and moving and showed herself, and then said, and Allah says, I'm taking oath on my own greatness that I have not created anything more beautiful than you.
Hmm.
So and he was laughing and saying that, and Muslims don't even pay slightest attention to this thing. The
Hmm.
most beautiful creation of God is not woman, is not this, but just
It's awareness. Yeah.
yes. And and Muslims are even not close to this idea now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not just Muslims, everybody.
Oh, he was talking to these
Yeah,
things.
yeah, but I don't think he necessarily meant it's exclusive to Muslims. He just happened only to be speaking to them. Yeah, interesting. Beena, so that whole first letter was a very big, long story to say, pay attention to mourners.
Yeah.
ADU, awareness, discernment, understanding. This is the magic of everything. You'll see it everywhere. Extract the mourners, extract the mourners. That's it. But also, Beena, there is a logic to it, right? And this is what I mentioned to you from when you first signed up, right?
Mm.
In terms of when we read that the what the course is about, and the sort of introduction, or not introduction, but uh, you know uh, kind of like they're advertising to take the course. Yeah, I was
Yes.
saying to you that you will see through this elements that are a big factor in art, in the art world, in art culture, in art psychology. Yes. And
Yes.
what he has now, if we zoom out and we look at the abstract of this letter, we see the romanticization of intellect, imagination, spirit, thought, awareness, blah, blah, right? It's this romanticization, which is the appeal for the artist to make what is very basic into more, so that it has artistic value and merit, and who it has, that who factor to it. Oh, wow, cool, right? So which is romanticizing. And I'm not saying it's a negative thing, right? But I just want to point out that this is the underlying intent, to take what could be relatively simple, right? ADU, that's it. All condensed into ADU, seeing the sublime in the mundane. Okay, which is, it's simple, but it's also profound. But they make it, and they bring in myth and all of this other stuff, which makes it into a bigger thing. And this is what they love, this moreness, this complexity, this convolution. The convolution is an appeal not a detriment, not a negative. It is sought by the artist psychology or poet psychology, same thing. Yeah. So Jungian psychology has this underlying it, that Jung, that's why art and Jung, film and Jung, why it's so associated, because he himself likes this. He has the same enjoyment of this complexity and convolution and moreness, and essentially the romanticizing of perception, the romanticizing of awareness, making it into something more. It is the root of the New Age movement, spirituality, mysticism, all of this stuff. They want moreness. They want moreness. They don't want it to be simple. Make sense, Beena?
Yes.
And that's the artistic soul. I mean, some would say the artist is looking to simplify. No, they're looking to complicate. Right?
Yes.
Isn't that rather interesting way of looking at this, yeah, Beena? To understand, look, again, see, motive psychology. When we look at this first letter from the perspective of motivation, what's motivating this writer and what's motivating the artist culture, the artist soul, it is to bring moreness, to bring depth, to bring layeredness, and to bring this romanticization of the perception of reality. So there's a nice definition of art. Art is the romanticization of the perception of reality.
Say it again.
Art is the romanticization of the perception of reality. I'm going to write this down. But it's a very cool insight. It's a very cool definition of art. Very, very, very simple, but really cool. Okay, can you see? Romanticization of art is the romanticization of reality. Right? Very simple, very simple. I mean, you could say art is the romanticization of just of reality. Sorry. Oh, come on. See, they don't have a word for this. Romanticization, yeah, of reality. Add to dictionary. You could say art is the romanticization of the simplicity of reality, or of the boringness of reality, or of the mundanity of reality, or whatever, but reality isn't so simple. And maybe you could say reality is complicated, but they want to make it romantic. So I'm not saying what reality actually is. I'm just saying art is the romanticization of it. Yeah. Again, Beena, where'd you go?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So we can see this in the difference between a photograph and hyperrealism.
Yes.
And why hyperrealism loses its art value. Because it's unromanticized reality. Right? Photography as an art seeks to, again, find the romantic perspective on the world. Yes. When you have the art of photography, they're not just capturing the image and you say, oh, here's reality. That's boring. But when they capture it in a beautiful way, oh, okay. Right. So romanticization is also beautification, but not only. Right. You can romanticize something by making it dramatic, by making it important, by making it profound, by making it deep, by making it connected, etc. So romanticization has all of those things in it, right? And this really is actually capital R romanticizing.
Yes.
That's a very, very, very good definition of art, by the way. Really, really good. It's about as simple as you can get to understand art. Now, now, part of the center, yes, and Jungian is also right. When you start to look at the introduction of myth and symbology, I would say Jungian psychology is the romanticization of psychology.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Very
Again,
interesting.
well, at least I should say, Jungian psychology is the romanticization of reality from a psychological perspective.
Yes.
The same
Yes.
thing, his art lies in his writing, his word. His psychology is his painting, yeah, or his music, or same thing. But it's the same. It's underneath. It's not his only agenda. I would say yes. There's an agenda to understand. There's an agenda to solve, to cure, to help, to be more, to understand, to grow, to learn. But there is also this artistic element to Jung where he wants the romanticization, and you see this in the difference between Plato and Aristotle. Aristotle's all meat and potatoes, and Plato has got the art side going, symbology, moreness, complexity. And you see, Freud, Jung. There's a lot of this in the world, and unfortunately, the our at least Western culture has it's so much influences by Aristotle, and the Platonic side of things tends to get downplayed. Look, it's Freud and Jung; they were both a big deal, but who remembers Freud? I mean, so who remembers Jung? Psychology, you think Freud, right?
Yes.
Same thing, philosophy, you think Aristotle as a default, because of course the simplicity, the meat and potatoes, it's easier to comprehend with a one-step psychology. When there's multiple layers, the popular view goes out the window because it gets too complicated. So from a way of or a motive psychology point of view, we seek to blend the two, yes, to be able to connect to the artistry of life and maintain the simplicity, the cogency, the clarity. Yes, Beena? We don't
Hmm.
lose sight of the beauty through our intent for clarity, right? We want clarity and beauty. We want to combine them, yes,
Yes. Yes.
and value and usefulness. But doing so in a way that doesn't include beauty, this is going against the whole ideal, right? Look at the point in, yes, in way of impeccability, the focus is on joy rather than beauty, but it's the same thing, right? We get joy from beauty. Beauty is a mechanism to joy, right?
Yes.
So it's very important to understand this and not lose sight of your intent. Yes. So I feel that in this, like artists, they can lose a little bit of the clarity of intent. They can get a bit lost in the romanticizing of things, right? And
Yes.
oh, this is so cool. And you never get anywhere because you're just lost in this idea of what you're doing, right?
Yes.
So romanticizing is a very big problem. It's essentially woo-woo. Woo-woo is completely where people, not completely, but where they're on the extreme end of romanticizing, right? They want everything to be special and wonderful and magical and mystical, right? Romanticizing. And they get lost there because they lose connection with reality and reason and testing and science and all of this. Yeah.
Yes.
Because they want it to be so, not what it is so. Now, yes, we might want the world to be romantic, and it certainly can be, but don't get disconnected from reality. Then you lose your roots. That is, always remember where the surface is, right? So they get immersed and they forget where the surface is. Know where the surface is, otherwise they're going to drown you at some point. Yes, if you forget. Yeah.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So this is a key point, right? So overview perspective, see the whole, the entire whole of everything. Wisdom is fantastic, but the wisdom is there to serve my fun and joy.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. Now, if I find and joy at the expense of survival and evolution, I'm also lost. Balance, capital B balance, right? The entire picture. You can't have one at the expense of the other. You need them all. Yeah. And this, to me, is what makes a successful psychology, that it takes care of all of your agendas, all of your intents. Yes?
Yes.
Not just some of them, but all of them. Again, when you look at the intent of psychology, when it started, it was remedial. To me, this was only a subset of psychology. The psychology that predates Freud and Jung, because we only think of psychology as from Jung and Freud, but no, psychology predates them. If we look at the psychology that predates it, we actually start looking at philosophy. Back in the day, before Freud and Jung, uh, psychology was just a part of philosophy. It's the way you think and all this. You look at the ancient Greeks, they talked about how people think and what makes you up and all this. They talked about psychology, but it was part of philosophy. It wasn't separated out. When it got separated out, it became solely focused on remedial. And this is a sad state of affairs. So, we tend to bring that back in again. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Clarity of intent. I cannot emphasize how critical this is. Yes, Beena?
Yes.
See, they
Yes.
lost focus.
Yep.
Okay. I understand with Freud. I mean, he had an intent to want to, he's a doctor. He was looking to help people. He was dealing with neurosis, was a big problem in his time because the world was changing so fast. The industrial revolution and new things coming and, motor cars and the whole world was turned upside down very radically in a big time, right? And this
Yes.
caused a lot of stress for people. Neurosis was a big deal. It was a big issue. And of course, too, through cueing, societal norms, basically you could say neurosis went a little bit viral in his community. Yeah, really. It's amazing. It's fascinating how you get these little pockets of things which they just become focused on. Now, for all we know, it's not really outside of the statistical norms, but certainly his focus on it made it seem so. Anyway, but for him it was, and he tried to resolve it. So good for him, and he did to a certain extent. A lot of people don't like Freud, but they forget that, he really did something really quite remarkable, and his intent was good, no? And he really did make a difference. Yeah. Yeah. Same with Jung. Jung just said there's more, a lot more. And this is good. Very exciting, Beena, very exciting. Does it help you in terms of a perception of the connectivity between Jungianism and art, and how the commonality is this common desire for the romanticization of reality? A little
Yes.
stronger in the art, of course, but spirit and animus and myth and all of this stuff. It's like, wow, this is what people like about it. It's what attracts them. Yes, you'll see. You'll see.
Yes.
I mean, look at that whole
You will
article,
see.
that first letter. If you take out all of that stuff, I mean, I could write that letter in probably 2 or 3 sentences. Yes.
Okay. Almost. Yes.
Okay, a paragraph. But my point is, if I rewrite it in a paragraph and say, this is what it's saying, it won't be nearly as fun. Right? Mine will be like,
Yes.
whatever.
I agree.
But when you read his, it's like, ooh, big deal, woo, wow, woo. But is he actually saying something? No, he's just spreading romanticization. It's spin, in other words. Now, fine, it's spin for a purpose. I get it. But still, Beena, just because I enjoy it doesn't mean I lose sight of what's really going on. Yeah. Don't mistake the spin for the point itself. Yeah. It's just a
Yes.
mechanism of delivery. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you
Yes.
get George Clooney delivering a message. You might forget what the heck the message is,
Ha 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 ha.
right?
Yeah.
That's what happens sometimes. See, people confuse the message. They
Sometimes.
just lose sight. What's the message here? Oh, but the message is so beautiful, and that's so much of what art and writing and promotion and courses are. I'm very cautious of this, right? Because if you forget what the actual message is and get lost in the messenger, you get lost very, very quickly. Yeah.
Mm.
And also from a point of, for me, a point of learning and growth and utilization, my takeaway, when I have a simple takeaway that's a couple of lines of understanding, I now am able to use what's said in that letter. Yes, he said it in a long way, and maybe he needed to for me to be able to put it into those few lines. But nonetheless, that encapsulation is very, very, very potent, right? Because now I've got something to use and go forth. It's the cap of the pyramid, right? But it's again, it's the point of your dictionary of power, right? That's
Yes.
why if you go through that article a little bit here and you just put it in conceptions, what is he saying? Main conception here is soul wisdom, the soul of the world. Uh, so when you understand his terminology, the whole thing really was about him explaining his terminology. No?
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, the underlying concept that he's saying that, your soul and the world of the soul, it's all together, and it's all united, it's all connected, right? So you could say spirit rather than soul, much better word for it, no? Right?
Yep. Yep.
I think, I think it's much better though. Anyway, anyway, very interesting, Beena. Do you want to read the next one or do you want to?
Oh, it's done. 19th. Okay, that one is done.
No, I'm saying the next letter, I mean.
No, the next letter is not available to us from this side, at least. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that it was gated. All right, so what's the next thing to pre-read, or is that the only stuff to pre-read? Can you go there back to the site where the pre-reading is? Did they have any other material to pre-read or just
I'm
this?
going there.
I thought the next one was available. Oh, so
No,
it's time gated, these letters, Beena?
no,
Yeah.
no,
So we can read the next one then.
no. Actually, this is the last page we have access to.
Oh, so it is time gated then. Yeah.
Not sure that. Okay, he just wants us to read this one and then the lecture.
Oh,
Listen to the
maybe.
lecture. Maybe, who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One would imagine it's time gated. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Were there any other works to read? Can you go to the website and screen share so I can see, Beena?
Am I not sharing screen now? Okay. Yeah, sorry.
No,
Sorry, I was thinking that I am.
that's all
So
right.
yeah.
There she is. There she is.
So the course
Okay.
introduction and outline.
Pre-course, yeah, pre-course reading. Yeah.
And I clicked that and I was here. Okay. Page 1 to 19. That's it. And we have read this one.
Click on page 2. Let's see what happened. It's page 3. Yeah, you can. You just have to click on it. Oh, did we read all this? Oh, I see.
Yes.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, I didn't realize that. It just says letter 1, but there is no letter 2 that shows here.
Yeah, that's why all the students were saying that, okay, we need to like, okay, read the whole book. And that's why they were
No,
referring.
no, no. They just wanted to read the first letter, at least so far.
No, no, I read the messages and comments, and people were asking that, okay, which book? Because I want to read the whole thing.
Well, it's The Soul of the World by Robert Sardello. Yeah, but I'm saying they want to read the whole thing, but the course people are only
Yes,
saying
no.
read one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
only one.
I suspect they'll make letter 2 available at the right time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there no other? Can you go back to where we were before? When you click on the pre-reading, No, that's not where you were before. Yeah. And the pre-course reading, when you click there, do we go to that page where we were?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you can close this. You can close this window. Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's it. We did that then. We've done the homework. All right, very cool.
No, we didn't do the homework.
No, there is no more homework. What's the homework?
No, it's a pre-course reading.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
it.
we've done the pre-course reading. Yes. So, yeah.
Yes. Not the homework.
Well, what is the homework?
Oh, homework is a big detail. Big details.
Where is it? Where is it?
Webinar information. This is the thing. And then, okay, what's this video?
That's Cyril, yes?
Okay.
That
Lecture
was
C.
Cyril with the tattoos, yeah?
No, no,
No? Who's that?
no. He's someone else.
Oh, why is he here?
I don't know. Okay, we will see that dance of the muses and all these things. Program detail. No, where is the homework now?
Oh,
He is Cyril. Okay. Not like this anymore.
yeah. That's a
Not like
cross
this
between
anymore.
that's a cross between House and Jordan and Aristotle, maybe Plato, Socrates.
Aristotle.
Socrates. No.
I know what you are saying. Yes.
Hey, doesn't he have that old Greek vibe going on, but
Yes.
modern?
Yeah. Oh, yes. And he don't have these long hair anymore. So,
Oh.
so
See now, see the romanticization. Just scroll up. A little more. There we go. See the romanticization coming in, right there, exactly.
oh, it is in religion also. It is in religion.
What's that?
Yeah, it is in all religions also.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a variation, it's manifestation of or materialization of superiority paradigm seeping through. So yeah, where's your homework now? Come on, people. It's probably in the
first we will find that, but tomorrow we are going to watch this video of this lecture.
Can't we watch it now?
No, it's already closing to 1 o'clock now.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-hour
I don't know what's going on, you see.
Right?
I don't know what's going on because I haven't seen the lecture. So I'm sitting here in the dark trying to figure out what's going on. But all right, tomorrow.
That's why we read the pre-course reading first. And now we are going to listen to the lecture tomorrow. And then we will go to our homework. So we have a month, but we will start doing that.
Can't you at least just play 5 minutes so I can see the introduction, see the people, and at least I have an image in my mind of him and the woman.
I started my journey with them in 2018, and I've now been developing programs with the center that are primarily focused on art, music, film, and psyche. We ran a program last year called The Art of Individuation, which was a great success, and Cyril was one of the faculty members for that program, and the students found his ideas and presentation exceptionally rich, and when the program ended, they certainly wanted more from specifically him. So when the program ended, Stephen Farrow, who is head of learning at the Center for Applied European Studies, myself and Cyril all came together, and this is where this program is born.
Beena?
So I think it's going to be an exceptionally special journey.
Yes.
Is the sound a bit scratchy and broken up for you?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Maybe your sound needs to be adjusted then. You shouldn't have sound like that. Something's wrong with your sound. The sound should be clear. Do I sound scratchy like that too?
Yes.
Yeah, there's something wrong with your sound then. You know what, Beena? You may have you know what that sound sounds like? It sounds like you have a blown speaker. Was there ever a time when your sound came in through the speaker that we're listening to now, came very, very loudly?
No.
By accident?
No.
You never had a very loud sound come through it?
No.
Yeah, but it absolutely sounds like a blown speaker, Beena. So I would really recommend you hook up your hi-fi and listen to it through that, because I won't really be able to listen to this. No, it wasn't the mama's phone then. It was your sound. I thought your sound was normal, but no, that's not normal sound. So hook up your Wi-Fi. Let's listen to it through the Wi-Fi speakers. Otherwise, I won't really be able to understand it very easily. I can, but it's not fun
Okay.
at all. All
Yes.
right.
Okay. So not now, tomorrow. Yes.
Wow. How do you stand this day in and day out listening to me coming through that scratchiness?
No, I do use headphones.
Oh, it doesn't sound that way on the headphones.
Yeah.
Beena, is it clear on the
Yes.
headphones?
Yes.
Yeah. See, then something is wrong then, yeah, with your sound. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. You may need to update your sound driver.
Maybe the speaker hardware something happened. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you update the driver for your sound driver, that probably will help too. We can look at that. We can do that together.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
I
Very
feel
interesting.
a bit sleepy now. So
Yeah, no, go sleep. It's a good idea. Go sleep. Fantastic. That's it. That's it. Okay, I've seen the two of them. It's all I wanted to do. So
you didn't look at Cyril.
Journey together,
oh,
and not only hosting on this platform.
I mean, I do want to hear what she's saying, but it's hard. It's really hard to listen to her with that scratchiness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on um,
Back to the slideshow.
Yes.
Yeah, that was lucky.
Who's that?
I don't know, some participants. So
Oh.
that was Cyril.
Oh yeah, so he's got more. Okay, he's a little bit of an older house and a bit of an older Jordan, but all right.
Okay.
Not Jordan. Jordan is nowhere in here.
Early 90s.
Okay, then somebody. I don't know who.
No Jordan.
Aristotle or Socrates. Yeah.
This wonderful sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Beena, I'm keen to watch with you, but we'll have to do something about the sound. It's unlistenable for me like this. Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
I don't know.
He rotated the view.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking for him. Not for
Oh, I see.
Cyril, you can please go ahead and start when you're ready.
That's him in the middle there? No.
Don't be intimidated by the amount of detail.
No, there he is at the bottom there.
Exercise. There's a writing exercise and there is a painting exercise.
Oh, don't worry, Beena. I've seen enough. I've seen enough. The sound is too disturbing. I've seen
Coming
enough.
from the upper chakras.
We'll put the sound off.
My understanding is that in ancient times,
So this is Celeb Farah something. This guy.
Participant or part of the program?
Admin's one of the
Admin.
admins. Yeah, so he is moderator or okay, whatever you want to call it. So these two are this and this is Cyril.
Yeah.
This was the Bengali guy I was talking about, Ismail Rahman.
Who's that next to him?
This one I don't know.
No, next to him. That's below him. Who's next to him?
This one? Is it? I
That's
don't know.
not a who. That's a something. Who's next to him?
Come on,
who's that?
Cyril. I was not expecting this. Like, okay.
See? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So tomorrow
we are going to watch this video,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we will discuss it later. First, we will watch, and then we will discuss.
Yeah.
I'm not in hurry to do my homework, to start doing my homework before
Yeah.
having as much as clarity I could. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could send me to the link to it, and then I just log in as you, and then I can watch it. But I want to watch it with you.
Okay. If you want it,
No,
okay.
no, no. I want to watch it with you. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
That's important. It's very important, right?
Yeah.
It is, Beena. It is. It is. I'm tired today, man. Dang it.
I don't know. I'm also a bit like lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. So go sleep. Fantastic. I was sort of napping while you were reading a little bit, but I was listening too.
Yes, I know. I know. That's why I just make
But see,
myself.
I can nap and listen at the same time. Isn't that a good skill, Beena?
I know your skills almost.
It's a good skill. It's a very good skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So going now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Very
are
cool.
also waking up early. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
and I don't sleep enough, and I know I need to sleep another hour or two, but it's like I don't know. It's just so far away that I'll spend another couple of hours. By the time I get to fall asleep, it will be 4 hours. So it's a
Oh.
mess. It's a mess. I just need to. I went to bed a little too late. I must go to bed a lot earlier, and then I can. All right. If I wake up, then I'll just put my story on and listen to it for a while, and then I fall asleep.
Okay. So bye for now. Sleep wisely.
It's a funny ad.
Sleep wisely.
Yeah, sleep soulfully, Beena.
Dream soulfully.
Yes, dream
Sleep
soulfully.
wisely and dream soulfully.
Yes, Beena. Yes, Beena. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Good night, Beena. Good night. Good night.
Okay. Good night.
Bye for now,
Bye
Beena.
for now.
Bye.
Bye for now.